Now, we are in one of the most craziest times in the United States stock market. Right now, we are seeing the SPY drop over 10%. We saw Nasdaq go into bear market territory, falling over 20%. And we are in the midst of, again, being in the middle between Ukraine and Russia conflicts. What in the world is currently going on? Because not only that, we are seeing oil stocks go absolutely unbelievably high as we take a look over on oil hitting 13-year highs, leading towards massive amounts of high volume on a lot of these more penny stock day trades such as INDO, such as MXC, such as HUSA, which is paying out thousands of dollars at this moment. This market has just completely 180'd from being a little bit of a slower market to being one of the hottest markets out there. And while I say it's one of the hottest markets out there, I completely realize that the SPY is falling at this moment, but I'm talking about the amount of volume in this market. This market is full of volume, and honestly, as a trader, as long as you have volume, you have money. You have opportunity to make money. You have opportunity to profit because volume equals activity, activity equals profit. In a slow market, we can't make any money. We can't make any money when stocks are just moving sideways, but when stocks are going up, we can buy them, and when stocks are heading on down, we can either dip buy them or we can short them. But let's break down everything that's currently happening so you guys understand, okay, this is what I want to be looking for next, and this is what I want to be prepared for, because that's how you guys are going to make the most amount of money in the stock market. Not from, again, just waking up and going with the flow, but actually looking ahead and being ready for what could be all the different outcomes. So let's break this on down. First thing that we need to be talking about going on this day is we do just want to understand where the current market is at. We have the SPY right here, which is a collection of the top 500 companies in the United States. This is basically just a basket of the best stocks out there. We could take Apple, we could take Netflix, we could take Amazon, we could take Tesla, and we could throw it in this basket. And this basket is going to give us an overview on how we are currently doing. So when I take a look over on the SPY and I see that the SPY has been falling, I can assume that a lot of these other big tech giants have been falling, such as Amazon. Amazon has been falling. Such as Google. Google has been falling. Such as Tesla. Tesla has been falling. So let's take a quick little read over on CNBC.com where it says the S&P 500 drops after the worst sell-off since October of 2020. Nasdaq falls deeper into bear market territory. So yesterday, we actually had our worst day that we have seen in over a year and a half. And you can see right here, the S&P 500 traded 0.4% lower after its largest one-day decline in more than a year on Monday. The Nasdaq Composite slid 0.6%, falling into bear market territory as it fell over 20%. So we could see Nasdaq in bear market territory as it's been dropping and fading and falling apart even more. And a huge reason of this is because of the tension between Ukraine and Russia. Now, what is going on with Ukraine and Russia, and why are oil prices spiking up so high? Well, the thing is, we did put sanctions over on Russia, just like many other countries did. It's not just the United States. It seems like, again, it's basically Russia versus the world. And honestly, Russia has been taking a huge hit from it. Remember, guys, we were looking over on different ETFs over in the Russian economy, such as the RUSL, and it's not even tradable anymore. Since the sanctions were put in, you aren't allowed to trade any sort of Russian ETF, but Russia's market has been absolutely tanking, and I believe it fell roughly around 50% within the past month or so. I actually saw a clip from Russia TV where there was there was an interview going on. It's basically like CNBC over in Russia, and one of their top traders was smoking a cigar and just drinking on live TV. And they said, "What are you doing?" And he says, "Oh, I'm just toasting to the end." And that's how bad their economy is at this moment. So what is Russia eventually doing? They're again starting to fight back a little bit. And how are they fighting back? Well, they need to get their economy up, and they are again sick and tired of basically everyone going against them. And they say right here, Russia warns of $300 oil, threatens to cut off European gas if West bans energy imports. Now, what did we just state? We just stated that Russia is a huge supplier to the rest of the world, and especially Europe, on, again, their oil supply. So what Russia is doing is stepping up right now and saying it is absolutely clear that a rejection of Russian oil will lead to catastrophic consequences for the global market. The surge in oil prices would be unpredictable. It would be $300 per barrel, if not more. So that's what's happening right now in this world, which is basically leading towards a lot of uncertainty. Uncertainty, fear, doubt, and concern are some of the worst emotions you can have in the stock market. And why those are the worst is because when you see those emotions and when you feel those emotions, that is when the SPY takes the biggest drop. So as you guys can also see at this moment, we do have oil still spiking up towards new highs. We can look at oil by, again, looking at a few different things. USO, which is the United States Oil Fund, where we could see that oil has gone from $60 all the way up towards $87, and oil is still climbing. We can, again, just type in oil, right? And you could see crude oil, and this has gone from $30 all the way up to $38. I posted a chart last night on my Twitter, and you guys can see right here, this is actually a current chart of crude oil. And crude is actually going all the way up towards, again, highs that we have seen all the way back on down towards around 2009. You could see the highest crude has been, it was actually up towards around 140 per barrel. And 140 per barrel was at around 2008. Now, there's actually a little bit of a fact, and it's a little bit of a scary fact as well, is whenever oil has spiked over 50% within a 12-month period, a recession has followed. That has happened since 1970. Well, we are now at 70% within the last 12 months. So last time that this happened, we did see, again, oil just lead towards an absolute collapse, and we also, again, saw the recession happen. So that is something that we definitely want to be on top of, and that is something that we definitely need to be aware of, that since 1970, whenever oil has spiked over 50% within a 12-month period, it has led to a recession. And again, we are coming up towards old highs as all the way back in 2008. Right now, there's a lot happening. And you can see right now, we do have Russia warns of $300 oil. Now, the big thing that's coming on up is it is currently $10.29 in the market. We do have President Biden announces actions to continue to hold Russia accountable. So this is going to be a live stream that is happening today, and we need to see what President Biden is going to state. How is he going to react to basically the threats of Russia saying, hey, we are going to bump up oil until, again, you guys allow us to be able to import and export, until we're able to, again, get supplies that we need. And they're basically saying, hey, if our economy crashes, everyone's economy is crashing. That's kind of the game that they're playing at this moment. So we got to see what's going to be happening here. But there's also a few things that we need to be aware of. Because so far, if we review everything we talked about, we are seeing oil prices go sky high. And we are seeing day traders and penny stock and meme traders take advantage of that on stocks such as INDO, which personally is incredible. To see, again, stocks go from $5 to $87,000. If you had a $5,000 account, you could have made $82,000 within the past 2 weeks. Over on MXC, if you had a $13,000 account, you could have made upwards of $27,000 in the matter of 2 days. If we take a look over on HUSA went from $1 all the way up to $17. If you had a $1,000 account, you could have made upwards of $16,000 in the matter of 2 days. This is what is so amazing about the penny stock market. And remember, team, I am in no way, shape, or form happy and want anyone to ever again fight and go into war and anything along those lines. I do not want that in any sort of way, and I don't want anyone to ever again go off into battle and leave their family and have to go to a war. That is not what I want in any sort of way. But what I will say is that when changes happen in the world and when again new current events occur, we do see again stocks react to it. We do see, again, huge opportunities react to it. We do see massive moves happen from that. It's the same exact thing, team, that we need to understand how, again, life works. I remember back in 2018, we saw, again, shipping stocks. November was coming around, Thanksgiving, and there was, again, a shortage in, again, shipping companies. Guess what? We saw stocks such as GLBS, DCIX, TOPS, DRYS go on massive moves, massive rips, and massive runs. Let's just go back to a monthly chart because this was very long ago, and you could see these massive spikes that have happened. GLBS did have many reverse stock splits, so at that time, it went from around $2 all the way up towards around $80. There was a time a few years ago ago where basically we saw cannabis become the talk of the town. It was on CNBC. States were legalizing it. And we saw stocks like TLRY. TLRY, let's go back to, again, a weekly time frame so we can see this a little bit better. And TLRY went from $7 and spiked all the way up towards $67, which was absolutely fantastic. We also saw, again, the big emergence of, again, batteries and electric vehicle cars. And we saw Tesla obviously go crazy during this period. This was, again, last year, back in November of last year when electric vehicles went crazy. Well, guess what? That was all over the news. And we saw stocks such as BLNK and anything that has to do with electric vehicles go from $9 to $60. Then again, we saw NFTs kind of take over, and NFTs were the eruption of the world. And again, when NFT spikes, we saw any company that had to do with art, right? You could see Tycoon Art, right? Art, and again, being able to get these NFTs go from $3 all the way up towards $80, $75. So the thing is that I'm trying to state here is whenever there is a new event, whenever there is something new on the news, we usually see massive opportunities. And over the past, I would say 12 months, because of, again, what we faced, and I can't say that word because, again, the video basically just gets completely demonetized, is whenever we, over the past 12 months, I'm going to say the word, let's just say the sickness, the illness that has come over, again, that past 12 months, we basically saw a lot of craziness. We again saw mask plays go on crazy spikes. We saw vaccines go on crazy spikes. We saw, again, tons of plays go on crazy rips and runs. But it lasted so long. It lasted so long that every single day, traders and investors are basically like, hey, we know this. This has been going on for a year now. And there wasn't really any sort of switch up. The market is always the craziest when basically we have these very quick, crazy trends where maybe we talk about one thing and all of a sudden news shifts and goes to another thing. You guys can probably think about a few different things in the news within our lifetime, how everyone got super wild up about something, and then the next week it seemed like it never happened. And again, people are super wound up about the next thing. And then the next week it seems like that's, again, the latest, that's gone now. And people are, again, super wound up about something else, right? And it's kind of crazy how that works. But the thing is, right now, the talk of the town is going to be Russia, Ukraine, and oil. And as you guys can see, oil is what's going absolutely ballistic at this point. But what I want you guys to start getting into the habit of is the moment you see news transition, the moment you see news switch, try to figure out what is being affected by that news, then go buy those stocks. Because right now, team, I'm already trying to think ahead. I'm already trying to think about what's next. Because yes, we do have, again, Russia basically saying threats and saying they could bump up oil all the way up to $300 per barrel. And as I already showed you guys right here over on my Twitter, showing you guys that picture, we're, I believe, sitting right around 110 at this moment. So $300 would be absolutely catastrophic to us. Absolutely. And it would hurt the global economy. When we go ahead and we break this on down, crude oil is at 118. If they say, hey, we're going to bump this up to 300, that article we just read, that would definitely, again, change everything. And that would definitely lead to the markets dropping. But what else, again, affects Russia not, again, importing or exporting? Well, one of the big things that a lot of people aren't even looking at this time is saying, forget oil. Putin's war is wrecking the wheat market. Vulnerable countries, especially the Middle East, rely on grain imports that are now under threat. It's a recipe for disaster. Russia's invasion of Ukraine threatens to significantly disrupt the global supply of wheat, sending prices for the vital crop skyrocketing and raising alarm bells among food security experts over its ripple effect of the important reliant countries in the Middle East and North Africa. So barely a week into the conflict, wheat prices have already spiked to record highs as traders fear exports from Ukraine, known as the breadbasket of Europe, could slow and trickle or even halt altogether, while Russian forces damage Ukrainian ports. In Russia, the world's top wheat producer, exports are being interrupted as international companies are abandoning long-standing business ties and extricate themselves from the countries and massive Western sanctions. So, what we have to see here is, all right, Deck, so right now everyone just went crazy over oil. Let's say oil does start falling back on down. Let's say oil does start getting weaker. Where is everyone going to be looking next? Well, traders and investors are always looking for that next move. Well, if we see, again, wheat could maybe be the next big thing, you can actually type in WEAT. And WEAT is actually going to be the wheat fund. And then you can already tell it's slowly creeping its way on up. It's slowly spiking. It's slowly getting a little bit of movement. It's slowly going underneath the radar right here. Let's go back to a little bit of a weekly chart. If we look over on a weekly chart, you can see how, again, this is slowly trying to climb. You can go back over towards a monthly chart right here, and no one's talking about, again, when we look where wheat was all the way back, and all of a sudden wheat's starting to pick on up. Could wheat be the next trend where all of a sudden traders are starting to think about agriculture? So what could we do if we wanted to? We could go to www.finviz.com and we can go ahead and take a look, and we could go ahead and break down a lot of these plays. So I always like to say to myself, all right, this is the current, again, ripping and running plays. These are the stocks that I want to be looking at. How can I find other stocks within inside these families? So the way that I like to do it, let me again just make sure. Yep. Okay. So what we can do at this time is you want to see all the oil plays, right? How do we find all the oil plays? Well, you go to sector and all you do is click energy. And right when you click sector and energy, all these are oil and gas plays. Then all you have to do is click ownership, then click float. Once you click ownership and click float, you can get all the lowest float oil plays. And take a look, guys. Notice what stocks you have at this moment. You have stocks right here, MXC. You have stocks right here, INDO. You have stocks right here, MARPS. These are all plays, of course, that just went absolutely bananas. INDO, boom, right? MXC, boom. MARPS, boom. So what we actually want to be looking at in this case is we want to, instead of going to oil, what we actually want to be looking at is going to be basic materials. And these basic materials is we want to be looking at agriculture, okay? Agriculture is going to have to do with wheat, okay? Now some of these companies are wheat related. Some of them are not wheat related. So basically you would have to go through some of these and say, okay, which ones are wheat related? Which ones, again, have wheat? Now, I will tell you again right now, one that definitely has wheat, because I played this one in the past before, is, again, RKDA. And RKDA was about number 7 on that list. And if you actually, again, zoom in on RKDA right here, we could see RKDA. Let's go back to the daily chart. Daily chart is RKDA starting to move up a little bit. It's kind of slipping underneath the radar. So if we actually take a look right now, RKDA over on Yahoo Finance, we click profile and we scroll on down, you can see Arcadio Biosciences engages in developing various crop productivity traits primary in hemp, wheat, and soybean. So let's say again, all of a sudden, wheat starts going a little bit crazy. Let's all of a sudden say wheat starts bringing a lot of hype. Let's all of a sudden say again, this starts getting attention. Well, let's again make sure we're also watching RKDA as well. And this is just something to stay aware of and stay ready on the back burner for. Now, that's just a small segment because I want you guys to stay ready to rock and roll on that. But what else we have talked about so far, team, is that the SPY is falling. And not only that, the Nasdaq is falling into not correction territory, a bear market, which is a 20% drop. When we take a look over on the SPY right now, the SPY is falling about 10%. 10% down. We are again coming all the way back down towards lows. Now, a lot of people, I watch YouTube like everyone else. Every person that I watch over on YouTube, all of them are saying that the stock market's crashing. This is, again, the worst time to trade. This is the worst time. Everyone take your money out, run, go invest it into other things. But ladies and gentlemen, what I'm doing right now is I'm getting ready to invest. I'm getting ready to go ahead and pull the trigger. Too many people take their money out at the worst time in the stock market. Guess what? What was the best opportunity to buy? The best opportunity to buy was back again after basically that illness has affected the world, because you were buying at 225. Right now, if we have, again, oil basically crashing the economy with, again, the Ukraine and Russia, guess what? I want to be looking for that best time to buy. Now, the last thing that no one is speaking of is right now, it is, again, Tuesday, March 8th. Every single person right now is talking about oil, talking about Russia, and talking about Ukraine. Let's not forget, 1 week from now is the Fed's talk for inflation, where inflation is actually at 30-year highs. We have these oil talks today. We have, again, Ukraine and Russia. We have the SPY at this moment still dropping down on low, and we have not even raised interest rates, and we are not even bringing up at this moment that we are, again, 7 days away from raising interest rates on something that we haven't done in 3 years. Does anywhere on CNBC say that we are, again, going to be raising interest rates, talking about 50-year inflation, anything along these lines, when it's only 7 days away? Not at all. Because the last thing they ever want to do is add even more fear into traders at this time. But we know that's going to be happening. So coming on up is going to be the best time to go ahead and invest into the stock market. Don't do it now. Don't do it at this moment. Don't do it today. But the thing is, the SPY, not only do we have talks, of course, with Russia and Ukraine and talking about oil and again, imports and exports. But after that, guys, we also are going to be having next week inflation have to be the main talk of the town as the Federal Reserve sits on down. And we want to be seeing what's going to be happening here. On average, over the past 100 years, the SPY falls 30% before it gets any sort of bounce play back on up. That's the average. We have been seeing, again, in the Great Depression, whatever that was, 45%. We've seen in 2008, 42%. We saw, again, during other times, the dot-com bubble, 30%. There has been, again, pullbacks that happen here and there that are only 10%. But the average is a 30% pullback. And that is going to be coming back on down towards around that 375-ish mark. So in all reality, the best bounce play to get on the SPY would be back down to 375. If you are watching this right now and you're saying, hey, I don't think it's going to get down towards 375, you're allowed to have that opinion, and that's absolutely fine. It may not get down to 375. But what I will tell you is if it gets down to 375, you will have everything at the absolute bottom and best dip buying opportunity. You'll have Apple all the way back on down. We'll look on a weekly chart right now. You could see how Apple would be all the way back on down towards around like 130. You would see Tesla all the way back on down towards, again, probably 600. You would see Google. Tech stocks obviously have been getting killed because the Nasdaq is in a bear market right now, which Nasdaq is the tech stocks. Just go back even farther. Go back to the monthly chart and look how high we have spiked during the past year and a half. Because during the past year and a half, we were, again, doing what? We lowered interest rates, cranked out more money into the economy so people would stimulate the economy so we didn't go into a recession when that illness first eventually hit. We did that so well that basically everything became inflated. Gas prices, clothes, used cars, everything is at its highest prices. Where you can really see this is over on the SPY. When you guys, again, go ahead and break down the SPY right here, you guys can notice what is happening over in the market. What we have is the SPY. Notice we do have a nice steady climb for about 9 years. Nice steady climb for about 9 years. And then guess what happens? We see over the past year and a half, one of the strongest moves. The SPY paid out around 26% last year, which is unbelievable. Usually it only pays out between 10 to 15%. So to be able to see a 26% climb over the past year, that is why, again, we are seeing pullbacks. Guys, there is no such thing as a stock going up forever without any sort of pullback. Just like when we take a look at INDO, we take a look over on INDO at the daily chart, it can't go up forever without having a drop. If we can't look at MXC going up forever without having some sort of drop. So actually starting on up at this time is President Biden is going to be speaking right here. And he is going to be going over everything along, what's going to be happening with Russia. So let's tune in on that. But I wanted to make sure that everyone's all caught up. I want to make sure that you guys are ready. I know I'm speaking fast. I know I'm speaking energetic. I know I have a lot of enthusiasm. And that's just because I know the amount of money that you guys can make. I know, again, how great this market is going to be. And I'm just so excited for the future. I'm so excited to see you guys profit. I'm so excited to see you guys take advantage of the market. Not being fearful like the sheep or the 90% of people do, but the 10% who are actually going to invest in this time. How many people wish they bought in 2008? How many people wish they bought a house in 2008? How many people wish you bought Bitcoin again back in 2010? How many people wish they bought again, let's say, whatever during 2020 during that huge drop? Don't be scared when the markets are falling. The fun fact is the majority of recessions are made right after, again, a recession happens. The majority of millionaires are made right after a recession. Make sure you take advantage of the recession because they only happen once every 10 years. In all reality, it's honestly a gift because this is going to be the cheapest that we see the market for the next 10 years. And if you buy in low, you basically have a 10 to 15% return for the next decade straight. Take advantage of it. Let's get ready to crush it. Woo! Oh, baby. There was a lot.